This call is being recorded.
What's up, everybody? This is Jeffrey Lyles. You're listening to Lyles Movie Files. Still a crazy week. Still trying to make sense of everything that went on Sunday. Then, in the midst of all that, trying to get hyped back up for the Super Bowl with my Niners playing the Chiefs. Hopefully, things will work out on this Sunday, so I'll be happy. Joining me on tonight's show is little brother Jace. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hopefully the week picks up a little bit, but I think we're gonna have some fun on the podcast. So hopefully it'll bring a little levity to your week, and we can put some smiles on some faces. All right, so ready to podcast.
And J King, you have the interesting, because you're always traveling all over, doing all kinds of things. You are a nationwide man of the world. You are calling in tonight from Los Angeles, California. And when I saw that, when I heard that, I was like, oh gosh, that has to be the worst place to be right now. But you said that is actually not the case. So hit me up.
Well, first thing is, hello, y'all, man. And Jace, Jeff, once again, we're at this. And this is, like I said, it's always a highlight. It's always great to do this with you guys and share our thoughts with the world and those the world that's listening to us. But the reason I say that from out here in LA, man, is that it's rare in your lifetime that you get to experience uh, a blessing within a tragedy. Not even a blessing, but something that brings people together within tragedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we've seen that in 9/11 because
Mm-hmm.
the days after 9/11, I don't think you could have went to any point in this country and not felt just an American connection to each other. Black, white, red, green. No matter where you stood, we were Americans. And that's something we desperately need today. But what I've been seeing since we've been here, my wife, my daughter, and I, since Sunday afternoon of all things. When we touched down, we yeah, um, dude, what we've seen, what we've heard is LA celebrating its son. What we've seen is people of all walks of life, all cultures, just coming together to celebrate the life of not just Kobe but his daughter. What we've seen is people putting aside all the BS, all the things that separate us, whether it's our race, our cultures, our politics, our orientations, our beliefs, whatever. If you were a basketball fan or not, in this area, you knew that name and you knew what that name and that man meant to this city and the surrounding areas. He's being celebrated by people of all walks of life. He's being celebrated by so many people, and it's not just because he was an athlete. Not just because he was a celebrated athlete. That's the biggest part of course. But what I've heard more times than not is the impacts that he had around the communities here, the impact that he had in the city, how he was truly a member of this community here. And no matter how you may feel about him or his past indiscretions, whatever, which to me is bull because it's only come out in the last couple of days because now he's dead and somebody's got to look at these angles because that's what we do. We're ugly as a society. Somebody's always got to be the ugly one. But ignoring that and recognizing the joy that this guy brought to so many people, with his exploits on the court and and the things he did off the court that really went widely unreported because no matter what people think of Kobe, that's kind of what he wanted. He didn't want his off the court charity to be highlighted. He respected the game. He respected that. He kind of left that to the side from what I've come to understand the last few days, talking to people around here and seeing what he did. Like in the community for Thanksgiving drives for folks who suffered tragedies in their own life, paying for funerals, paying for people to be put in hotels during like when they were put out from fires or whatever else the case may be. that lets you know the character of a person, and it's a life. He, not just him, but his daughter and everybody who passed away. Life's worth celebrating. But the reason why so many people are so affected and so touched and emotional behind his death and the passing of his daughter is because he touched a lot of lives. He really did touch a lot of lives. You have to be here to observe that, to see that. And like I said, the sadness, the overwhelming sadness behind it, I'm sad for his wife, his family, his other children. I'm so sad for them. But at the same time, you know, this, what this man meant to this city and what he did for this city and what he meant to the people and what he did for the people here, it definitely brings a smile to your face, and it's like the bells of heaven ringing them home, man. It really brings it all together. It's like as sad as it is, you can't help but feel like, man, this guy was really, I didn't know what he meant until you're here. You don't know what somebody means until you see it, and I'm seeing it, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I've listened in on, I watched probably way too much social media, different people commenting on how extraordinary a person he was beyond basketball, and just like, good grief, we normally just see these guys from, oh man, he's such a great scorer, or wow, he's a great
Mm-hmm.
defender, etc. And but when you hear all the other things, it's like, wow, that's cool. That's a
Yeah.
way to do something beyond, look at me, I'm so great, I'm chasing Jordan, whatever. I mean, it's like, yeah, you understand that there's more to it than what can I get out of this, and mama mentality, etc. I can do
Mm-hmm.
more things than just play basketball really great.
And that's been that's been the biggest takeaway. Um, like I was talking to somebody at our hotel bar Monday night, and he's had the unique opportunity to sit next to him at a movie. He was
Hmm.
talking about that. This is a guy that works at the I don't want to name his name, but he works for God. What is the guy's name? God, what's the guy that does the Late Show now? The Conan's off the NBC. Seth
Craig
Meyers.
Ferguson. Oh, okay. Oh,
Seth
yeah.
Meyers.
Okay.
Yeah. So he had the unique opportunity to sit next to him during a premiere of a movie. I don't know what I was drinking, but we talked about that, and he said, this guy he had the innate. He said the thing watching him for all the years that he had been in LA, he said, and actually coming in close contact with him and trying to book him on the show at the same time, he said the thing that stood out the most to me was the ability that he had the ability to make you feel like you two were the only ones in a room full of people. One, two, an amazing storyteller. And I said, it's funny because of course I never got that close to even engage or say hello, right?
Mhm.
But my experience with that, I told him was, hey, I play NBA 2K, right? And the last two, maybe I think the last two NBA 2K video games, or three 2K video games, featured Kobe as a guest commentator, right? When you're
Mm.
playing the season, you're playing during the course of a season, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And what Tony Romo means to football commentating,
Yeah.
Kobe could have meant to NBA because he's such an engaging storyteller. It was such a treat to hear him on there. Not just because it's Kobe, it's because of the conversational tone and the conversational narrative approach. You just wanted to hear him talk.
Mm.
Not because it's Kobe, because he was good at it. He was.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have a 20-year NBA career as one of the most decorated athletes in their sport and of a generation across sports, across the spectrum of sports? Then they finish their NBA career to, hey, I want an Oscar.
So how did I go ahead and do that?
Hey, yeah, well, someone go ahead and do that. I'm gonna create a series, probably one of the best off the network, other than Peyton's Places.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe's Details was probably the best content ESPN had produced
Mm-hmm.
or was producing. If you haven't, if it's still up because I haven't had the heart to check, um, do so. If you can catch an episode of Kobe's Details, especially the Lamar Jackson versus the Bengals game, the 4 touchdown game Lamar Jackson had this past season, you have to check that out because one of the reasons I was so one of the reasons I'm so devastated about it is I wanted the Kobe's second act. Of course, you've heard all about what he had planned. You know what his second act could have been. Kobe, I guess that's something to be said about being and growing up for what it's worth. He did grow up in Los Angeles for what it's worth, folks. He spent 20 some years there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's got to be something said about that. You're a storyteller on and off the court now, and he really was. He blended that. I don't have the words. I'm sorry, I'm not as articulate as I should be, but it's something to be said about having that kind of life, that kind of career, on and off a basketball court. It's like when you watch Mike Tyson tell stories on Undefeated, his stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mike Tyson's a hell of a storyteller because the life he led inside and outside of his field of his profession. Kobe Bryant, same thing. Nothing changed. But what I love the most about Kobe is that he had the full command of being able to express himself, and also he was very expressive. He had so much to say and a very intelligent guy, and that translated in so many ways. You know, it translated to whether you're talking about the 2K commentary in a video game. In a video game, he's drawing you in. And I'm not just saying that because he's dead. I always felt like that. I always felt like that from the first time I heard him. I said, "Man, you got to hear." I'm telling guys who play 2K, you got to play a season just to hear Kobe do the commentary. It's fantastic,
I
right?
may have to because my thing with the 2K games is I don't keep up with them. Like I don't have
Mm-hmm.
2K20. I don't care. I don't need the Lakers with Davis. I can just trade him. I don't need them to do that. I'll just spend the time or download somebody's updated roster. For me, I love playing with the classic teams. And
Yeah.
I'm a Lakers guy. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like using, like I did a podcast a couple of days ago, right? So Jason and I, we played Lakers versus Celtics. That was our introduction basically to, hey, here's basketball. It's cool. My dad wasn't into it, so we weren't really into it either. And then we started playing the games like, oh, shoot, I like the Lakers. And it wasn't because they were the best team on the game. It was just, I liked them. They were cool. And I know the Magic guy from commercials. And as much fun as it is to play with the Showtime Lakers, basically, I will, if I'm picking one team to go against anybody else, I'm using that Kobe Shaq squad from 2000.
Of course.
And because it's just like the best two-man squad I've ever seen. With apologies to Stockton, Malone, Pippen, Jordan, whatever other duos you want to throw up there. But
Penny and Shaq.
Yeah,
Peyton and, Peyton and Kemp.
Peyton and Kemp. Yeah, all those squads. But man,
you're talking about the most dominant force in the league with the apex predator, the young apex predator at shooting guard.
Right.
Come on,
Yeah, man. It's just like, good grief. I mean, because Shaq was a force, and Kobe was like, oh my gosh, this dude he has whatever it is that all the other. This guy could be the next Jordan. Lack.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, he literally could be. Oh shoot, he's got 3 titles already. Yeah. Oh man. And I'm still blown, pissed off, annoyed. Maybe this time to actually do it with 2021, that they don't have that Kobe squad with Powell, Bynum, Odom.
Oh, they're on the newest ones.
They're on the new one, or you have to create them? Because dude, every time I look,
dude.
Really? Because man, they're like a 93 Suns squad. I'm like, come on, man. Why don't we have
the last 2 NBA 2Ks have teams like the 93 Suns, the 94 or the 91
the 93 Suns with
Sacramento's. Barkley? Yeah, with Barkley, KJ, Dan Marley, Oliver, all of it.
What version of this game are you playing?
NBA 2K.
Or what system? Man,
PS4.
This is interesting because I
no, dude,
just got 2K19. The Suns aren't on it.
They're not on yours? Yeah, they're on mine.
Interesting. Dude. I wonder if you got the downloaded roster or you got the hookup. with the Barkley
Well,
license on it.
well, no, I don't think that has any bearing. But if you have an online account, these are teams that
Oh yes,
you'll
sir.
have on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, you have to get them from somebody who created the roster. Yeah, yeah. I have a version of them. I
Hmm.
just don't have the actual pictures of that squad. So
Hmm.
it's like dudes composite versions of Lamar and all that. It's fine, but it's like, man, I
Okay.
don't know how
Yeah,
you
it's
don't have
fine, but
that
it's not the same.
squad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess it's not the same when it's created by the programmers. But
yeah. It's
yeah,
stupid,
man,
but it's like,
they
yeah.
definitely have
All right,
they
I'm gonna have to
definitely
give
have a
that.
good roster of those things.
I'm gonna have to give it a shot then. All right, Jace,
Yeah.
you have a unique take because you and I would always kind of have these debates because as a Bulls fan, you were like, yeah, Jordan, 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 and I'm like, yo, but Kobe, Kobe, Kobe. So what was your thoughts on all this?
Um, okay. So, I my thought is, as much as everybody talks about, like, and this is why I was always like, hey, the only true, you know, the next Jordan is Kobe. I mean, it's like I mean, again, I watched Jordan dominate a game. He did it all his thing, but Kobe was the one, and like even Scottie Pippen says, like Scott. I mean, Kobe Bryant like did the Jordan playbook to a T. He wanted to be the best. He didn't, and this is what kind of I always get on. Like I say that you guys, everybody talks about, LeBron is the next Jordan. I'm like, no, he's not. He's the next Magic at best, but he is not Jordan. Jordan has killer instinct. You could not, and the thing with Kobe Bryant, if there was a last second shot in the game, you couldn't pry the ball out of his hands. He literally got rid of Shaq in his prime because he wanted that last shot. Like,
There's
like
no one else you wanted to take that shot.
I mean,
No,
there was. I mean,
because
and
he
he
wanted
worked.
to take it.
Yeah, he wanted to take it. He's like, oh, I can't. I mean, when I'm young, I got this freakish great knees. I dunk got it everywhere. I won a dunk contest. Oh wait, my knees start going. So I need to learn how to do this pull-up game in this. I need to actually. The reason why Jordan learned this fadeaway was because people couldn't stop it. So I need to come up with this. Basic. I see why Jordan did it. I'm gonna utilize the things like that. And like and one of my best examples, like there was in one of the finals, LeBron passed the ball to some random teammate. There would be no way in hell Kobe would be like, I'm sorry, Bill, why did you not design the play for me? Because everybody knows I'm getting the ball. And if I go around that dude, I'm going to take the ball out of his hand and then still take the shot. Like, and that's what like I truly appreciated about the dude. It was like
Hmm.
he was like, and I guess the other thing is like his competitiveness truly is one of. It's like I'm not one. I'm not one to say I actually. I mean, I would say I respect the dude, but that was like
Hmm.
one of his competitiveness and just single mindedness. Is like, yo, I want to
Hmm.
be the best at this. I think every man should literally look at it like I can't do that, but that I respect. Like
You
some
know,
of good.
I'm sorry, Jason. To chime in on that, right? When I was younger, I felt like, oh, this guy's selfish. I was one of those guys that loved to hate Kobe early on, right?
Mm.
Because he was a young, cocky guy. I felt like he didn't pay homage to the convention and the older established players and this, that, and the third. And it wasn't until I became older that I truly understood. Now I really get it now. What are you in this for?
Mm-hmm.
No one picks up. I would like to think that no kid that gets to the NBA, no young guy that gets to the NBA says, you know what? If I can just be like Sadell Threet or Larry Hughes, or you know what I mean,
If
to
I can
try to
make a
get
Cliff
myself here.
Levingston like career, that would be. I just want to be on the
That'd be
bench for 7
fantastic.
years. That's
I'm
what I
here.
want
I
to do.
made it.
I made it,
I'm one
right?
of the few.
No, Kobe's thing was, what are you here for if you're not here to win?
Mhm.
And you have to respect that. You have to honor that. Look, when LeBron, for example, I always felt like this. In the early part of our last decade, the teens or whatever, that's when we should have been getting the LeBron and Kobe matchups in the finals that the NBA certainly missed the mark on, right?
No, no, no,
One,
no, no, no. Remember,
okay.
there was a point where Kobe's knees were actually. I mean, like right before they actually got Paul Gasol.
Hmm.
I mean, his knees were going. He was looking like he wasn't going to be there another 5 years because he had shouldered
Well,
so much of the burden once he drove
Well,
out
he
of
wanted
Shaq.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I
well, he
mean,
wanted that burden,
but that was
but
the young kid who was arrogant, like, hey, I can do it. I can score
he
65 points a game.
indeed he wanted that burden. And oh, by the way, you guys, sorry to cut or segue, but Michael Vick's 30 for 30 starts Thursday this week. Everybody, please check that out. Michael Vick is one of the electric personalities in sports. But with Kobe, right? Yeah, granted that 4 years from '04 to the '08 '09 season when Powell got there, right? Um, I'm not going to say it was a wasted time period, but it was definitely a time period where Kobe could have maximized those years by learning to coexist with another superstar player, right?
100% agree. Because
But
that
again,
was a lot of
Right.
time. He had to get humble.
That was a
He
lot
was
of
like, you
time.
know what?
It was a lot of
Smush
time to be
Smush
humble.
Parker is not Shaq.
Yeah, Smush Parker ain't Shaq. Sorry. Kwame
Wait a
Brown
second.
ain't
What did I
Shaq.
do?
What did I do? But the thing about that was this, Jace. When I say the NBA botched that period of time, Dwight Howard's Magic beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 7 games. Now, I'm not saying those Cavaliers would have avoided being swept against that Laker team in '09, but a smart or at least savvy NBA front office says there's no way in hell Dwight Howard is going to get here before LeBron James.
listen,
Against
Dwight,
Kobe
you
Bryant? Are
forget
you kidding me?
Dwight Howard was a young, compelling personality. Like
Superman.
he was
But
not.
not LeBron James.
But you needed to again. You need if even if you're trying to. The better way is not to build up two guys and then one guy goes down and we're screwed. Like you
Well, here's
bring
the
up
thing.
like if you're in the NBA, if you even could put your hand on that scale, you need to have it so if somebody weighs in on the conference finals, like I think that Magic could take this against Cleveland.
Well, here's the thing, Jace. When you're building commercials 3 years prior to that matchup, remember the Muppet that they had? LeBron, Kobe, LeBron, LeBron. Remember that? You may
Gosh,
not
yes.
remember it. Yeah, that was in '05, '06. You were trying to make that happen then. Capitalize on it when you have the opportunity to. I don't care if during warm-ups, if we're calling fouls on LeBron, if we're calling fouls
Right.
against LeBron James during warm-ups, we're not allowing this not to happen, right? I don't care if Chris Paul's going to make $200 million a year for this season. If he's going to make $200 million for this season, if the trade for him to Los Angeles Lakers is on the table,
Yeah, that was
to
pretty
maximize this, I'm gonna make it happen. I
That
don't
was
give a damn what we gotta do.
They're like,
Yeah.
let's fix that. Why?
Why? Yeah, no, you make things happen for the benefit of the sport as a whole. Even if people complain, I mean, not for nothing, we do it in our politics system all the time. I don't think anybody would have been upset if Chris Paul would have wore a Lakers jersey for 3 or 4 seasons, and that would have gotten the Lakers at least one more trip to the NBA Finals.
In Chris
No
Paul's
one would have
prime.
been pissed off about that.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't have.
in Chris Paul's prime, nobody would have been pissed off about that. To see the Miami Heat, the LeBron James Heat, nobody would have been upset about that. Seriously.
Yeah,
So that's why I say the NBA kind of missed the mark twice. If you got to cheat a little bit, hey, cheating ain't. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying in sports these days.
100%.
I would have tried to make that happen from a not just from a viewership standpoint, from the business standpoint. Hey, dude, we are going to sell jerseys, everything that we can. At jerseys, we're going to be on everything. This is going to go at least 6 games. We're going to have some influence here because we're the league officers, and not for nothing, we can pull the strings. We're the puppet masters. You have to make that happen.
We
You
can
have
make
to
a
make
cold
that.
envelope so the Knicks can get Patrick Ewing.
Oh yeah, come on, seriously. You can make it so the Cleveland Cavaliers get 2 back-to-back number 1 draft picks. You can do anything you want to do after LeBron leaves, of course. You can do anything you want to do.
Anything
Right?
is possible. All right, let me
Anything's
go.
possible.
I'm gonna fast forward here. I'm really jumping ahead because I had to do this right now in the segment. I am talking about my dummies of the week. They're plural. The first are all of these social social media misfits who
Get
are
it right.
trying to champion this guilt of people ignoring the other 7 people that died in this helicopter crash. And I'm going to say what I have to say. Maybe it's harsh and wrong, but who cares? Nobody knew these 7 people to the extent that people knew Kobe and his daughter. Or, just like, hey, I was entertained by these people. The people who know those 7 people, they're grieving. It doesn't take away from their grief. But trying to act like, hey, you Laker fans, you people who enjoy basketball, you're terrible people for not acknowledging these 7 people. Get so lost. It's like, you can't tell people, hey, you're a terrible person because you're not acknowledging these 7 people too. You don't know these 7 people. You'd never, ever be able to point out these people in a picture. You saw them walking down the street. But if you saw Kobe Bryant, you'd be like, that's Kobe Bryant. Oh my gosh. So the loss is different. And it's not every loss matters. It's not. It's absolutely not.
Hey, Jeff.
What's up?
Can I jump in?
Go for it.
I 198%. Look, this is why. And please, I'm giving my disclaimer because I work blue and I'm going to say some things that may offend some people.
Go blue.
But go blue. Here we go. And please if you're going to edit my curses, please put fart sounds over the curses because I think that's really funny. Look, it's a tragedy that these people lost their lives. But without Kobe Bryant, this is just another fucking helicopter crash in the hills, okay? Without Kobe and his daughter, this is just what it is. So let's not pretend. Let's not act like we're holier than thou because we're not celebrating people that we never knew. Because let's not for nothing, 20 people died within 5 miles of you, you fucking moron, and you don't care. You don't care. 20 people today died within 5 miles of you. Within your arm's length, 20 or more people died. And you don't care. But because it's Kobe Bryant, yes, we care. Because not for nothing, the guy only played NBA basketball since he was 18 and is widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time in Los Angeles. For 2 decades. And his daughter was going to be a surefire legend in the game in her own right. So, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, you dumb bastard. Stop getting on your high horse and trying to champion a cause that nobody gives a shit about, okay? These people passed. Yes, they did pass. But they passed alongside Kobe Bryant. Not for nothing. When the big when Richie Valens and
I was just thinking
Buddy
that,
Holly,
right?
yeah. So you better believe a manager or a agent died in that plane crash and a pilot too, and nobody gave a shit about them.
Mentioned them.
They never mentioned them
Ever.
because those people had names. Yeah, these people they were accomplished people in the field. Like they had the spotlight on them. It just goes hand in hand with it, dude. I'm not expecting anybody to shed tears and have a visual outside of FedEx Field because somebody died today in a car accident on 95.
Right, or somebody got shot in Landover. Oh man, let's get the news crew over here, Jim. I mean, you see that every day. Hey, there's 20 teddy bears here. I guess somebody got shot or got into an accident. And it's not like I need to stop my life because someone got killed or died in a horrific fashion. I don't know those people. And it doesn't make me heartless. It's like, dude, you would be emotionally exhausted and drained if you shed a tear and were just devastated after every person freaking died every day. These guys on social media suck so hard because it's like, listen, you guys need to do it this way. And it's like, you don't care either. Stop it.
And Jeff, you don't And as I had to justify it to somebody on Monday, I said, look, the bottom line is this. The reason why is because I kept it a buck with this person. I said, look, I grew up with Kobe. Whether he knew me or not is irrelevant. When I was in high school, Kobe was in high school. Kobe went into the NBA when I was in high school. I watched his I watched him be drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, only to swap hats to go to Los Angeles.
Thank you for your sacrifice, Vladdy.
I watched his yeah. Thank you, Vladdy. I watched that team go from Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Zeldin Campbell to Shaq to liquidate these guys to make this. Yeah.
And I was a huge Eddie George fan. Oh gosh, Dale Harris.
I was a huge Eddie Johnson. Not Eddie Johnson.
Eddie George.
Eddie George.
No, that's Eddie George is a running back. Eddie Jones.
Yes.
Right.
Eddie Jones.
Yes. Yeah. There we go.
So yeah, we watched every phase. I watched every phase of Kobe's career. From that Lakers team to 2008, I'm sorry, to 1998 in New York City when he had his boom. I'm here. I'm an all-star off the bench. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
You can freeze me out, but I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here now. There's nothing you can do about me. From the three-peat era, from the dawn of the Lakers championship years, the dynasty years when Phil got there, to the grim years, to 81-point game, to the Powell era, to the Andrew Brown and Powell era, to the end of that era where it was kind of Kobe trying to find his way, to the dark years again, to his last redemption song years, to post-Lakers Kobe retirement, to his death. I've grown up with him. I've invested a lot in this guy, watching him play, buying tickets to watch him play. I've invested a lot. So yes, there is an investment there. It's something to be said about that. You feel like not only that with these icons, you feel like, especially when they're young, you feel like this guy can't die.
Okay, now my last dummy of the week, because I want to move on. Because we could spend the whole show on this, but I don't want to do that. My last dummy of the week is the Washington Post reporter who felt the need to tweet out about Kobe's 2003 rape conviction. She didn't write anything. There was nothing to the tweet. It was just, I'm retweeting this. Ha ha! Check it out. Don't forget, he was on trial for being a rapist, and I'm so clever. I'm so smart. And it was just like, listen, I always feel like, especially with social media, it's like people just want to be that dude, that chick who stirs things up. And this one was just so tone deaf. Hours afterwards, she's like, bam, let me retweet that out just in case everybody grieving. Never forget that he maybe raped this young innocent white girl who went up to his room at 11 o'clock at night. Also,
Jeff,
hold on. Let me get all this out here first.
I'm sorry.
Then she goes and starts playing the victim. I'm getting death threats from people upset at what I tweeted. You had a responsibility as a reporter to say, hey, Kobe's complicated. I mean, that's that bogus code word people use for the worst decision moment of his life. And yeah, I think that's kind of whack too. But it's like, can you imagine if everyone hours after they died had their worst moment put up.
Worst moment.
Yeah, like, oh, by the way, Uncle Dave used to beat on. Right, Uncle Dave used to beat up on Aunt Jemima for 2 months before they went to counseling, and he never put his hand on her again. Oh yeah. Also, that guy, he used to curse at us for being black, and then he realized he was wrong and made so many amends. But back in the day, he used to curse us and call us the N-word. Can you imagine if everybody had that asterisk on their obituary? Gosh, man, all that great stuff he did, but never forget, once upon a time he cheated on his taxes or he slept around. It's like, man. So I hope when somebody goes and writes this Post reporter's obit, they go, and she incurred a social media firestorm for retweeting about Kobe Bryant's death. That's all I have to say.
Or she raped a dolphin. Or she raped a dolphin. However we dig into her sandbox.
She left her puppies out in the cold. In the snowstorm.
Or in a hot car in July.
Again, the sad thing is you joke about it, but it's like, again, it's like, there's some people that will find that a most egregious thing too. It's like, you almost let a dog die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like,
yeah.
And
you're a horrible human being.
My entire point was just saying that if everybody's worst thing got brought up when they died, hours after they died, how much crummier would this place be? It's already crummy, but I mean,
the world is already a shit bucket. We don't need anybody contributing even more so to it. Now, look, here's the thing about that. Was Kobe convicted of rape? No, he was not. When you look at the circumstances behind it, and there's not really circumstances, when you look at the actual story, look, what Kobe is guilty of really in that is switching lanes without a turn signal, if you know what I mean. Not to make a funny out of that, but hey, it's what it is. He switched lanes without a turn signal. You read between the lines there. And he didn't treat this girl like she wanted to be treated. She thought she was going to be the next Miss Kobe Bryant, and she wasn't. You were a stunt. You were a thing to do while I was here. And he did it. And not for nothing, this was a 23, 24, 5-year-old guy. He ain't thinking about you like that. He was just trying to get his rocks off. Not for nothing, the only thing he was guilty of was not treating her the way she wanted to be treated. Okay? Mm-hmm. So with that said, you don't hold anything against this guy for that. And not for nothing, what happened thereafter? Did that prove that his real character, he's a son of a bitch, he's a lecherous or lecherous character? No. It proved that he was a young, horny guy who banged some girl and they had sex that she may not have felt the best about after the fact. And especially when he kind of, and I'm gonna guarantee you this is what happened. She probably tried to be like, "Oh, Kobe, when he's probably like, look, Slim, nah. It happens. Trust me. It could happen to you, me, or Jeff. If some desperate young chick sees you and you're her meal ticket out of this hellhole that she's living, you're nothing. You're a rich young athlete. You are wearing a target no matter what. I can't imagine, and I'm not trying to cheapen this girl, but when you look at the circumstances of it all, you draw your best conclusions, and that's exactly what happened. And look, for those of you listening, if you feel some kind of way about what I'm saying, get at me, because I'll challenge you on this. This is reality. This is what happens when you ain't got no money. When you ain't got nothing but a good job, this is what happens. How many guys are the baby daddy when they ain't their baby? Think about that. He can just take care of me. Think about that. So with that said, yeah, we ain't holding that against Kobe. You got to tripping, bro. Stop with yourself.
Okay, I'm gonna go on this one point. It's like some folks were saying, like, because this actually upset. Because I'm like, I'm not gonna get into too much of everything, but it's like somebody like, oh yeah, he was such a self-admitted rapist. So I was like, okay, let me look at what he actually said. He basically said, I thought everything was cool. She felt some kind of way, and I'm sorry that she felt that some kind of way. That was lawyer speak. I paraphrase, but that was lawyer speak. His lawyer said, hey, kid, you're 25 years old, 23, 24. We can make this go away by you just
make it go away.
We mean, like, hey, it's like the DA basically has no case, and we could try and bury this woman and you get vindicated, or we could go some way sideways. Let's just move on from this and go. You have the rest of your life to make far better decisions than you did that night. And damn if that dude didn't do that. It's like, I mean, like, Jace. If you want, I mean, like, you're looking at his, like, working with women's basketball, like, all the stuff that the dude did. It's like, and even the stuff that none of us who weren't directly affected by the dude, he actually he did beautiful things. And it's like, but basically, it's like, all he did was like, yeah, my lawyer said, got to bury this chick. Because it wasn't that, it was very much, it was like, and before everybody got super PC, the dudes on NBA were literally, because they knew, they kind of had the insight of what happened, and they were like, man, how many inches in the stitch? They knew exactly what happened, and it was like it was like, come on, man, you got to show better decision than that, dude. You might like, come on, but it was not.
Hey, Jace, you called it right there. And what people tend to forget about this was right during the season, right when he was coming back from injury during a playoff run. You got to make this go away so you can just continue to live your life and play basketball. You know?
I mean, it's like you're
Nothing.
a kid.
You had time to keep going back and forth the court.
Like, I mean, this wasn't the days where you would have to wait for the vindication of the trial to say, hey, you were innocent before we actually do anything like the NFL. It's like, hey, we can make this go away. I mean, the DA does not have a case. It's like, but I mean, we could drag some civil suit off for like years or just months, or we can just get away with this by this statement. It's like, all right, let's move on. And as I say, it's like, folks just is like, again, very much like I just said, it's like, don't judge somebody by the worst day of their life and 10 minutes after they die. And it's like, and now, I mean, it's like for that girl, oh, I'm getting death threats knowing I was being a provocative asshole. What happened? It's like, you were being the provocative asshole. This is the rabbit hole you dug for yourself. And probably
you don't get to play victim.
No, and it's like they were like, folks like, oh, why is she getting suspended by a post? It's like, if I'm the post, I just fire. It's like, you're useless to me. You cannot objectively do a story that is actually useful for me. You're fired.
You know, also,
severely lacking.
Well, you know, also, guys, ultimately, she got what she wanted. You got what you wanted. You got the attention. You're infamous now. Congratulations.
15 minutes
this
of
is
fame.
What you wanted,
Enjoy.
Ultimately.
Let's go to another favorite topic of mine, social media, because it's just amazing. It's like if you want to hear well thought out conversations and discussions, go to Twitter, go to Facebook. You will find a plethora of them. Friends has been like all up in the news lately. It's the anniversary of the show, one of NBC's greatest hits, and you know, of course, when you have people that want to celebrate something, you have another flock of people that want to tear it down. Friends is now on its let's tear it down phase. People are complaining about the show, the 25-year-old show's lack of diversity, and its curious portrayal of New York with no minorities running around at all. Its handling of LGBT characters, and hold on, because this is just the icing. The real cake now is, you know, David Schwimmer's like, hey, listen, you know, maybe the show doesn't age well. What show does? I mean, you know, whether it's a matter of crappy special effects, I mean, do people want to go in on Buck Rogers in the 25th century? That's not where's his iPhone? We don't do that. But for certain shows, it's like, well, geez, this is just terrible. Archie Bunker probably doesn't age well either. So David Schwimmer is like, yeah, it doesn't age well. And I would think that something we could do that may be cool would be to make a reboot of Friends and have an all black and all Asian cast, which of course sent Black Twitter ablaze. Because, listen, Ross, Living Single came out first. Friends ripped off Living Single. Now, Living Single came out a year before Friends. NBC was like, hey, we should get a show like Living Single. Friends came around. Friends became a big hit. My thought on this is Fox, which aired Living Single, was not some station that you needed 18 antennas wrapped in tinfoil to get reception on. So if you wanted to watch Living Single, if people wanted to watch Living Single, like I did, I watched it. Love the show. It was really funny. And I don't think, unlike a lot of shows, it wore out its welcome. It's funny, you know. I liked it. I like Friends too. And I wasn't thinking, oh my gosh, Friends is such a ripoff of Living Single. I mean, can you imagine a show about friends coming together and doing stuff? I can't believe this show. What a ripoff. So that's kind of my thought on it. Like, you know, I think there's room for shows to coexist, especially on different networks. And if the majority of viewers decide we like this other show more than the show that came before it. Is there a reason for outrage? I'll leave that up to you guys.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like, really? Like, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you guys this, but there are some neighborhoods in New York that don't have black people. I know it's a shocker since you've never actually been to New York to actually make that. Like, there are some parts in Manhattan that just don't have black people. I know it's not everybody doesn't freaking live in Atlanta where there's a whole plethora of black people. Okay, like, get over yourselves. Like, I mean, it's like, oh well, they were pitched the show. Yeah, but they didn't see it, and then they saw. I mean, like, they was like, oh well, NBC didn't see. They were pitched the idea of Friends, of living single, but then they didn't want to take it. So then when they saw it work, they actually did Friends. Like, yeah, like, did you also see this show called Growing Pains? I know. It's like it's just like that's kind of what happens. And guess what? I'm thinking everybody from Living Single ate very well. They weren't starving. It wasn't on for like 6 episodes and just couldn't find an audience because of Friends. Those dastardly bastards. No, they did okay. So, high horse.
They didn't get $1 million per episode like the Friends cast
again, but they had the opportunity. I mean, hey, it's like, once again, all we want is a fighting chance. Put us on a level playing field. If we don't do it, well, hey, that's what it is. Like,
look, Living Single was never going to be Friends. Number one, it's on Fox. NBC, Fox. That's still the case to this day. Let's not pretend. The biggest programs on Fox of all time are animated series, okay? Family Guy and Simpsons outweighs everything on that Fox has had in their 30-year run, okay? Let's be real. They're the 2 longest running shows, that and Cops, on the network's in the network's history, okay? Mm-hmm. Look at Friends was what it was. It was what it was supposed to be. As far as it being super diverse, my issue is always complaining about these sorts of things. It's like, look, if you get a flying DeLorean with a flux capacitor, you can go back and change whatever wrongs you felt you need to make right. But they are what they are, dude. This is a show about young white singles growing, coming of age or whatever, going through their ups and downs in New York City. The same way Living Single was about young black singles coming of age and going through their ups and downs in New York City.
What about the diversity?
So what are you
of Living
really
Single?
upset with?
Like, they didn't have very much diversity in Living Single, and there just wasn't that much LGBT representation. I mean, what's wrong with these people?
What's wrong with these people? Look, it was the 90s in television. Not for nothing. If you were gay, you were still a stereotype.
That's exactly.
If you were gay and on TV, you were still a stereotype.
So and Friends was a lot more progressive. I mean, they had Ross's wife marry a woman, and it was like, I mean, they made jokes, but
it was
a
sitcom. Married woman,
right? I mean,
she was a married woman with a child living in New York City with a successful career, just like her. Dude, it's like, just shut up. If you go look at, I keep saying this, y'all. If you keep going to be offended, if you keep looking to be offended, you'll be, or take offense any way you look. You'll be offended by everything. It's once you stop being offended by things, you just look at it the way it was, dude. Look at it the way it was. Stop being offended by things that aren't offensive.
You know, the funny thing is, the folks that actually get offended by the not having diversity on Friends have probably never actually watched 5 episodes of Friends, because Aisha Taylor was on there for, I think, a season and a half.
Tyler, I think, but yeah.
Tyler,
yes, Ross's girlfriend.
Yep. Gabrielle Union was on an episode with Joey and Ross trying to date her. Like, so don't give me the whole they didn't have diversity crap. Like, oh, you're gonna say, oh, it's true. It's like that show probably had 10 people on it at most in an episode.
But also, it's about 6 white friends. I mean,
hey, dude,
don't shoehorn diversity in
any show that centers around when I see any show, any movie, any form of media that centers around the lives of white people, I don't expect them. I don't have an expectation that there's going to be a lot of diversity represented. Because I tell people this all the time when we have this conversation or debate, rather. When you go out and you're hanging around town, wherever you are, DC, LA, Atlanta, New York City, wherever, Chicago, wherever, you will see a couple of friends groups that look like the United Colors of Benetton ad,
Mm-hmm.
but more times they look like each other. It's the world we live in, even in 2020. This is the world we live in. When we go out, my wife and I, sometimes, in the city and abroad, we see groups of white friends hanging out. It doesn't mean that they're racist. It just means that, hey, our friends tonight are white. These are the people we hang out with most of the time.
Exactly, because you have most of your stuff in common with them. And the show is just focusing on 6 white people. And I don't know. I never really understood that whole situation, why people got so upset about it. And then,
Well,
like, hey, stole everything from Living Single. And I just feel like Living Single had the same opportunity. I mean, geez, Fox was all about printing in black shows. They had Martin, New York Undercover. I mean, they were
yeah.
basically set up to focus on black, shows, appealed to black black viewers.
I'm sorry, Martin. We had Living Color. It's like, so no, I mean, like Fox is like Fox. If you wanted diversity, you actually went to Fox. Like that was the way you saw it. You were Fox. You couldn't say, oh, we didn't. There wasn't any diversity on at that time in the '90s. It's like it doesn't compute. So trying to
Sorry,
act,
guys. Hotel
trying to
Wi-Fi.
trying to like look at the like everything is a prism of today is just stupid. And like Javon says, it's like if you want to find just getting, if you want to grievance on everything that happened 30 years ago, when there's actual stuff you could do right now to care, just shut up. It's like, hey, what are you doing about diversity now? It's like, hey, are you watching the next black show? Well, they
Right.
don't have any quality shows on. Oh, but you watch Tyler Perry, right? Well, yeah. Well, shut up then.
Shut your
What you want.
stupid mouth. Shut your stupid mouth.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't have a horse in the race on that one. I like both shows, like I said. Friends just ended up lasting longer because apparently Fox wasn't happy with the Living Single ratings. Now, if they wanted to make a Living Single remake, that would be fine. I'd watch that show. If they just wanted to bring back the old cast, I'd watch that show. But I don't know, to rain fire on Swimmer for going, if we decided to reboot Friends, maybe we just focus on a different audience.
Well,
I don't
Jeff,
understand the point.
here's some of this. And I think, like, what's it, Erica Alexander kind of chimed in. There was actually, like, recent talk about rebooting Living Single. It's like, because all of those cats probably, they could do it. It's like, what's to stop them? So it's like, maybe it just kind of got hyped up a little more this time because it's like, oh, one of the cast members of Living Single. Like, yeah, but there's an invested interest in this. They're trying to get a current job. This why they're trying to hype this up. So
But Queen Latifah doesn't really talk too much about Friends.
you also know how Queen Latifah's bank account is.
Oh,
Well,
okay. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Let's move on here. Because I always think it's funny. Linda Hamilton spoke out today, said, she probably won't be back as Sarah Connor if they decide to make a new Terminator film. Terminator Dark Fate met its fate at the box office, grossing a total worldwide of $261 million. Yikes. And in this interview, she said, I would really appreciate maybe a smaller version where so many millions are not at stake. Today's audience is just so unpredictable. And I guess that's true for a series that kind of had its best film in 92. You can't really expect the audience to be like, yes, I'm ready for a new installment of The Terminator. And, I mean, people are complaining, they just make remakes. They just make remakes and people don't care. But Bad Boys for Life is making over $100 million in its second weekend. Clearly, for certain films, there is an audience. And people do care. It's just people didn't care about your movie. You fellas think?
James, please go first because I can't stop laughing.
Okay. I mean that there was very predictable that Terminator had met its fate long ago. It was like you couldn't. It's like Salvation kind of was like the end of it. It was like, hey, this isn't catching on like it used to. It's not because of Arnold. It's just we don't have any more story. If we're going to tell the story, there's no reason to reboot it. It's done. Like most of the success was based on big old Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. And once you had Robert Patrick do everything these other new Terminators could do, because that was super creative, that was it. I mean, it was just like Rise of the Machines basically is like, yeah, that's the best way you can end this, or you kind of come up with the world of John Connor, but Linda Hamilton's character was gone. I mean, it's like you couldn't say, oh, we bring her back. It's like, I hate to say this, but her storyline's over. I mean, it's like she was a real kick-tail lady in Terminator 2, but her story's over. I mean, like the guys in Terminator 3 wrote her out. It's done. It's like you can't. Oh, we're gonna reboot this. Oh, and then we're gonna try and make sense. Like nobody has time for that. It's like, wait, so your story actually like you decided to scrap it, and then you want me to come back in acting just like we talk about Star Wars. You're doing a bunch of fan fiction because you guys now got the original actors. I'm good. I don't need to waste time on this. And then when you hear your friends like, oh yeah, it was a turd, you're like, I feel very vindicated that I didn't sit through this 2-hour turd. Like I could have. I mean, I would have been on my phone half the time. So yeah, it's like say Terminator's done. Go bye bye.
I just keep getting hung up on the fact that didn't Linda Hamilton's character Sarah Connor die in one of these movies?
And part like, 3, look, I mean, she didn't make it to part 3. It was like, my mom died, okay, while we were in Mexico. Okay.
It's like, yeah. It's like, Jace, if I make such a mess, let's say if you made, all right, Jace, let's say this. You design cars, right?
Or the Matrix, you make cars. Or the Matrix 4.
But let's just say you make cars, right? And you give us possibly one of the finest automobiles made in a generation, right? And then I come along and I think I'm going to build on top of this, and I'm going to make an even better car than ever before than what they could make. And you remember the car that Homer's brother, Uncle Herb made at Homer's suggestion? Remember that?
Yes.
And I rolled that out. And, of course, it becomes such a laughing stock and a disaster. Give me a second or third chance to screw this up even again. Why would I be upset about that? Why should you be upset about it? Look, I can see if the movie was actually good, but anybody who saw it will say the same thing. It wasn't a good movie. The thing about the Terminator series, the last 3 movies have just tried to cash in on nostalgia. They're not progressing the story. They're not telling a different story. They're just cashing in on remember this? Remember this Arnold Schwarzenegger? Here's 7-year-old Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That was really interesting. This was a show. Dude, that was a franchise that could not go any further after the second one. I mean, I like the third one. Thought it was fun, but man, they handled every technological advancement they could with liquid metal. I mean, it was like, oh shoot, that's a wrap. And then it's like, well, this Terminator can look like a human. So did Arnold Schwarzenegger in the very first one.
But it's a girl though.
I mean, I like that one because it was. I mean,
I don't dislike Rise of the Machines.
This Terminator has boobs.
Well,
but here's the other thing. I think I just like started watching Rise Against the Machine. They didn't actually explain how like anything happens. Like all the stuff of Cyberdyne was really kind of destroyed when they lost the Terminator. But
that one was one to just have a little fun, enjoy it for what it is. But then they were like, let's keep making Terminator films, and that's when they got in trouble.
again, like Salvation, is I always say Salvation should have been the jump off point for them to go into a future world. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh well, we're gonna reboot it and have, because we get Khaleesi, we're gonna have it so she's the one. It's like, come on, gosh, nah, man. Like, it's just like, who in the writing room says, you know what, we need to reboot Terminator and we're gonna have Linda Hamilton try and save Kyle Reese, who Kyle Reese has to jump from the future to make John. It's like, nah, man, you lost it. Like, you're done. There's no way to do the story. Just stop.
Yeah.
Well, we could just not do these anymore. How about that? Or if you're gonna do them, you know what? I think they should. The route they should have taken, if they're gonna continue this, is to for Offshot Terminator that maybe would have made sense. We tried to kill we tried to kill Sarah Connor. It didn't work. Hey, guys, I sneezed. We tried to kill Sarah Connor. Didn't work. We tried to kill John Connor. That didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we went back and tried to kill Sarah Connor's mother. Maybe.
But they would have no chance in heck of winning that war. But you do give a better idea. I mean, honestly, because you give a more. I mean, it's like it would have been based in the '60s.
How about instead of not trying to go back in time, they just wipe out the remaining humans? I don't understand this convoluted. Let's keep going back in time. Just kill the dudes that are here. I mean, it's like, all right, 100, maybe 100,000 humans. Let's just kill them. Good point. Why don't we just make some nukes and kill them?
We know where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they don't have the technology that we are.
Yes.
I mean,
here's a drone. Drop the drone on these humans in their base. Game over.
Well, then we can't send the naked guy back in time, Jeff.
Dude,
that's really what this sentence.
I'm just. Yeah,
this is one goose that's laid its last egg, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a wrap, and they just keep going. Speaking of things that should have been wrapped, maybe even before I got to witness the awesomeness that was Jet Li kicking two old fogies around, is the Lethal Weapon franchise. Apparently, we're gonna get Lethal Weapon 5. Why?
Huh?
Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are coming back for a new installment, where both of them are literally too old for this stuff. What is your level of interest / investment in this? Javon is overcome with laughter. Jace, what do you got?
I'm not far behind. Like, what? Like, Danny Glover, I'm sorry, I don't think he can run a block. Like, no, like, Mel Gibson was cool in the Expendables 3. Like, I think that's the last role of him. Like, Mel Gibson is the villain now. Like, just stop it.
He's
like,
the real life villain.
Yeah, it's like, this is not the way to go. Like, my thing is like, again, with when these guys are pitched this, it's like, who's the target audience here? Do they have disposable income?
Are they still alive? Mel Gibson is 64 years old.
So that means the people who wanted to see a young, strapping Mel Gibson try and bang the latest Hollywood starlet are in their 70s, 80s.
Danny Glover is 73 years old. These guys literally would have been written off and assigned a desk job or done having their gold watch, having their retirement party. What's going to bring these guys back?
It's like, I'm sorry. It's like the guy, like, you saw Bad Boys 3, that was like, yeah, it's almost time for us. This one is gone. There's nobody who's going to watch this. I don't understand why do you pay these guys money? It's like, you can't even make a scenario where, oh, they're going to pass the torch. So what? There's no torch needed. It's over. Call it right. This is not the Olympics. Like, this is not the Olympic fire that just can't go out. It's done. Let it die.
Javon, what you got, man?
If I didn't want to see 50-year-old Martin and Will Smith, the polish, these movies just lose their luster after a while. Not for nothing, the last Lethal Weapon came out 20 some years, 21 years, 2 years ago now. Do you really want to see? And they were old then.
Yeah. Chris Rock was the young guy.
It's a problem.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's your belief in suspension of disbelief, your belief that Mel Gibson could whoop somebody's ass and Danny Glover along before the ride too. At this stage, I could mean mug Mel Gibson out of his lunch. I don't want to watch that movie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can do. And here's go-to. We're going to introduce some new young characters to pass the torch to. I don't care because you did that before. I still don't care. This hasn't been a viable franchise since 1993. It's over. It's over.
Over, Prime. I've already gone with mine. Do you fellas have any nominees for Dummies of the Week?
Jeff, can I give my Dummy of the Week? The one we talked about last night?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, my Dummy of the Week is whoever... my Dummy of the Week is the CW network or whoever your local WB/UPN or whatever the heck it is. Whatever station aired the series finale of Arrow. Because some idiot in the last 5 minutes of the show, where there was dialogue going on, where they were about to wrap up the big Olicity, what's going to happen to them in their afterlife dream, decided to minimize the screen and put a commercial for Blackish in. And I'm literally was like, wait, did I just press a button and go to another channel? I'm like, did I do some stupid picture-in-picture stuff or something and just lost my mind? But no, it actually literally, like, they minimized the dialogue, the picture where Arrow, Oliver and Felicity are doing whatever the heck they're doing. And I see a Blackish commercial, and then 2 minutes, like a minute, 30 seconds later, they're actually back up and talking. It's like, so you guys decided to ruin the series finale for a commercial for a show that you guys show on repeats. Great job. I mean, just phenomenal.
Wait, this was for the series finale?
The series
finale. And it's not 5 minutes. It was like the last 2 minutes where they built up this whole thing from the end of last season, the last year's season finale. And then they were paying it off finally in the last 1 minute of the show. And it's like, okay, this is a big moment. What is this going to do here for the state of this show? And then tune in to Blackish on CW.
Like, what?
So the dialogue is muted out because we need to give this ad for a syndication, for a show we have on syndication.
And it literally, there was no, it was like, so are you guys not going to show another Blackish commercial after this? No, we're going to show another. It's like, after, when it actually goes to credits, you're like, are you freaking kidding me? It was so just like, somebody dropped the ball, was drunk when they pressed the commercial button. I don't know. But I was half expecting, like, half the people, like, did they really do that during Arrow's finale? Like, I have no idea what I just saw. So, that was 100% my Dummy of the Week.
I regard CW as local theater. Like local dinner theater, man. The production value is very low. So don't be shocked. Hey, look, that was although egregious, I kind of expect that. I wasn't even shocked. I mean, it sounds terrible. And they got to pay the bills.
It was like, can you wait 30 seconds? It's like, we literally will come back to this show. I mean, we're pretty much invested in this network because of this, like, Arrowverse. So we've seen a couple Blackish commercials. You can wait 30 more freaking seconds before you have to pay this bill. Like, double up on the commercial. You could have put that commercial in the last segment and no one would have cared. But you decided, oh, yeah, I know this seems like important dial-up, but y'all okay with this, right? Y'all understand what happens, right? Oh, they don't? Oh, shoot. Well, sucks to be them. So I had to actually go online to figure out what they actually said. I'm like, oh, that's what was going on. So that would have been interesting. I still would have judged it, but, you know.
Can you imagine if the Cheers series now, when it's just Sam standing at the bar giving
Yes.
his last few words.
That is exactly how it
Preempted
was.
by, on an all new wings.
No, at least that would have been an all new wings. This was like, hey, it would have been like, tune in for the next episode check out this episode of Laverne and Shirley.
Of Maud.
Right. It was like, what are you doing? It was the worst, man.
It's like,
God.
I really think I called Jeff like 2 seconds after the show was over. I'm like, Jeff was like, hey, I got 6 more minutes. And I'm like, okay, maybe he can tell me what I just saw. Because maybe I just did something stupid. And then like, we started talking about the show, and he's like, man, did you see? I'm like, it wasn't just me. These guys are freaking morons. It's like,
You're idiot.
it's like, hey, would you like to? Hey, I think Ross might have gotten off the plane, but I'm not sure because they had to advertise something else. I don't know what happens. Like, it's like, I'm sure somebody will download it eventually. It's like, yes.
Gosh, you're gonna just have to buy that DVD.
Oh no, it's coming on Netflix on February 9th, so I'm gonna have to go on February 9th to actually go and watch the last 5 minutes of the show.
All right, well, that'll do it for us on this episode because there's so much stuff to talk about. So, fellas, thank y'all as always for rolling with me. Thank y'all out there for listening. This episode of Lyle's Movie Files has been filed.